And good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the show. Yeah, welcome back, everybody. This is episode 714 of the Two Dumb Unions. I want to say to everybody this morning, good morning. Biggie Smalls will make you shit your drawers. That's right, Mike. I was younger and I heard it. I thought, wow, that's until I really got into, Notorious B.I.G. and, other rap. I used to think, what is that an incentive to make me want to listen? This dude's going to make me shit my drawers.
I know, right?
But it'd be like us saying, the Two Dumb Unions are going to make you shit your drawers. Or Mike's commentary is going to make me throw up in my mouth.
Oh,
I don't know. It worked for him.
Come on now. My commentary is
It worked for Biggie. So
my commentary is epic, legendary. The people tune in for it.
Well, make sure you do the things we got to do too, Mike, because I don't have my alternative board today.
Okay.
So if it shows up on my screen, that'd be perfect. Because sometimes it doesn't, and I don't. Like I said, I don't have my other board on me, so that's all I'm going off of. Everybody, good morning. Yeah, a couple of things before we do get started, Mike. Derpy, he's turning into a real podcast horror.
He is.
He was on a show last night, and it was a nerd show.
Oh.
Yeah, he was. And it's a nerd show, and these guys are out of Texas, right? So Derpy, he's on there, and he's out nerding the nerds. Like he was, well, they were talking about all this nerd stuff, and Derpy was talking about things that they didn't even know what he was talking about. And at first, I just kind of assumed, well, that's Derpy.
Yeah.
But as I kept listening, I thought he's out nerding the nerds. Like he asked them if they knew this one person. They were just, I have no idea.
Yeah.
And but it was good. I encourage it. I think that it's a good thing. He was good. He was good. If you get a chance, go check it out. Good morning to Tortilla Jackson. What's up, everybody? Yeah, welcome. It's Monday morning. A lot of things going on today, Mike. A lot of sports over the weekend. A couple, and also one other thing I do want to say. Finch, I do believe he has something going on, and that's why they weren't on Friday night. And I think it goes all the way through this weekend as well, from what I understand. Yeah. And he's going away, so he's going to try to put together a package of different clips and things and stuff that you haven't even heard yet for this week's show, and he's going to have something up for Friday. So do check that out Friday night at 9:30 right here. You can check out the two cranky jagoffs. But as I said, I think he may be here tomorrow. I don't know. But I just do know that he has something going on, and he wasn't available Friday. So I think he's kind of weak of busy things to do. So just keep that in mind. So Finch. I was wondering. I turned it on Friday night, and the guys weren't on, but apparently they had something going on. So they'll be back. Also, as I said, Derpy was a star, Mike, because as you know, he went to one of these Comic-Cons up in Cleveland. And he even dressed the part. He dressed up like Superman. And I think we even have a picture, Mike, if you could put that together for us real quick. There's a picture. Derpy dressed up like Superman. And he went, and then, everybody's dressed up like something. They have the cosplay people. And, one of the guys on his nerd show said, how much did you take? Did you spend a lot? Derpy was like, no, I took $80 with me. And you know how everything at them Comic-Cons is so expensive.
Yeah.
If you're gonna get a picture with somebody, that's like $100 if you get this. But
that's living frugal. That's living smart by Derpy.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for this?
Yeah, come on. So this is the picture of Derpy. Oh, look, there it is. There he is. There's Derpy.
There's our little derp.
And you can't see. Oh, there they go. Yeah, I was gonna say you can't see in the picture, but he has his red shorts on. He looks like he's just ready to fly away and save the day, ain't he?
He does too, man. You know what? I give him credit. Going to something like that, dressing like that, I would be too self-conscious to show my nerd fandom when it comes to stuff like that. So I'm too subconscious. Derpy is not, so therefore Derpy is better than me.
But Derpy.
But no, that's weekend. The dirt, man.
Big weekend for Derpy.
And he did wear the panda mask. That was not a Photoshop.
That's his real face.
He wore the panda mask, and he was like, deal with it, bitches.
But he should be by tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can't wait. I can't wait. Well, you know what, Mark?
Good morning, Mark. He won't even bet. You're right.
Hold on a second, guys. I have an update. I'm watching this show last night. This nerd fest that Derpy's on. The first 15 minutes I listened to, there was no alarm. There was no smoke alarm. So one of two things: he got it fixed, or he just does that on this show to drive us nuts.
That's sandbagging son of a bitch. He only does it to us.
But yeah, it was something. I got to tell you. As I said, he was out nerding the rest of the nerds. I was proud of him. That's kind of his thing, and he went off to the Comic-Con up in Cleveland over the weekend. So it was interesting to see what he had to say, Mike. And at first, like whenever he was stumping the guys on his show, the nerd show,
yeah,
it was almost like it was one of those Reynolds moments. You remember when Reynolds?
Oh god! Like when he first came on. Yeah. Oh my god! That's all he would do was like what? It was like Reynolds, Simpson.
But the fact that he's not here, that gives us a little bit more time because I think I'm going to pull some clips from that particular show, and then I'm going to see if we have the permission to play it. And then tomorrow, maybe when Derpy's here, we'll pull up some clips and play them on the air and just kind of ask Derpy firsthand because again, he had a big weekend. He had a big weekend
too. He had a better weekend than I had. Derpy's out there living the dream.
Well, my thing for you is this: you went bowling. You had a big bowling trip over the weekend. How'd that go?
It was good. The kids bowled, so that was fun. They were on the bumper lane. I going into the 10th frame, I had to knock down just 2 pins out of like the 8 remaining I had there, and I gutter balled it. I choked. I pulled a Cam Hayward. I choked when the lights were the brightest. So Cam Hayward and I have more in common than I thought. We both have not won a playoff game. We both have not won a championship. We both choke when the lights are the brightest. So Cam, me and you, buddy.
So you lost the little kids, is what you're saying?
No, the little kids bowled on their own lane. I lost to the adults. Like one person scored over 100, and they're like the most unathletic, olive oil looking person you ever see in your life, and then everyone else failed to score over 80 pins. It was bad, but I did have a couple drinks and free pizza, so that made up for it.
Yeah, sounds like a good time, man.
It was a great time.
Glad you didn't get injured because I know you get hurt and then you start, you have to call off and.
Well, like my kid, he kept going past the line. He would throw it and start to run. He slipped and fell. Once he ran down half the lane to try and get the ball back because he didn't throw it hard enough. So my kid was that kid at the bowling alley, but I did make him mark his points as fouls every time he stopped, every time he went across the line because there is rules. This is not Vietnam.
Mikey's like 2. You're really applying the rules.
No, there are rules. Damn it! This is not Vietnam, Donnie. There are rules.
There you go, Mike. Mike had the big bowling weekend. Again, Derpy out of his mind. He had a Comic-Con and a whole bunch. I don't even want to talk anymore about him because I have so much I can't wait that he's on.
Right? Welcome to the Derpy podcast.
And that's that. So let's get caught up, Mike. I'm going to start with the Pirates today. Let's give it some time here as people start rolling in. The Pittsburgh Pirates. So they played 3 games over the weekend, Mike. They have 1 game left in the Grapefruit League preseason, if you will, and then they start on Thursday, the regular season, on the road down in Florida. They're not playing their best baseball right now, which I don't know if it's concerning, but on the other hand, it is only preseason. So they won a bunch of games leading up to this weekend, but this weekend, Mike, they took a 2-1 loss to the Red Sox on Friday. They got no hit on Saturday for a Paul Skeens start. I don't know if that's a sign of things to come, as it was last year. No run support for the big pitchers. But they get shut out, Mike, 4-0 and get no hit on Saturday to the Orioles. Excuse me. And then Sunday they lose to the Toronto Blue Jays 2-1. Today they play the Twins. This is their last spring training game, Mike. And then they're off a couple days. 4:10 on Thursday they open up. They have 4 games in Miami against the Marlins. Then they go over to Tampa Bay, play 3. And then next week, Friday, Mike, they open up at home against the New York Yankees 1 week from tomorrow. So the Pirates baseball season is here, just a couple more days, Mike. And you know what? There's a million other things in Pittsburgh sports going on too. So if you love your black and gold, you love your Pittsburgh sports, you're in luck. This weekend really kicked off a lot of things, Mike. The Penguins are looking good. We'll get into that in a second. The Riverhounds, they kick off their season opener, and then of course all the Pittsburgh Steelers scoop that's going on and leading up to the draft, Mike. Which is 1 month from today. 1 month from today,
wait, baby.
No more, no less. 1 month from today, it will be the draft in Wisconsin, and we'll be adding to our team and hopefully making some key pickups in the draft this year to be able to help this team get better and move along, help us get that playoff win and even further in the playoffs. We'll see about all that, Mike. But let's I want to get back to these Pirates for a couple minutes here. Again, they open up this week. The season opener, as Derpy always says, 162, Mike. They play 162. It's a long, drawn-out season. You can't get mad at every loss. You can't get excited about every win. You just basically have to tune back in September, October, and see if you made it. If you did, good for you and your team. Mike, a couple things I do want to talk about. First, Paul Skeens. Yes. His card goes for $1.1 million. Of course, everybody remembers this 1 of 1 Paul Skeens baseball card that was so sought after. It was eventually discovered by a child in California. He sends it to the auction. The auction sells his card, Mike, for $1.1 million, which is the second most expensive card of a current MLB baseball player. Mike Trout with his is like 3.4 million, I believe. Yeah. But besides for that, of all the active baseball players, Paul Skeens is the second in value in his card. Again, that's $1.1 million for the Paul Skeens card. Mike, that is more than Paul Skeens gets paid as of right now. I mean, he's going to be a billionaire one day, I bet.
But, I think he's fine right now.
But as of right now, Mike, he's getting paid less than the kid that just so happened to had the luck to find his card. But, Mike, there's something about this Paul Skeens I really like.
Yeah.
And I think something that's been missing from this team for a long time is true. Now, I say this, I really express the word true leadership that Paul Skeens brings. Every once in a while, you get that guy that comes in with that fire. He's just the leader. He's just going to take over. And you know what? He's going to do what he's going to do. And people are going to follow around him. And when you have somebody who's a generational talent like Paul Skeens, you're wise to listen. Mike, I do believe I sent you the statement made by Paul Skeens that I find a bit encouraging, actually, because, again, you're kind of saying, who's going to take control of this team? Is it going to be the coach? I don't know. I don't really ever see Derek Shelton taking over. Is it going to be Kutch? I mean, he's older than, he's Aaron Rodgers' age, for crying out loud. So, Mike, this statement that was released by Paul Skeens, I think, is very encouraging. You want to go ahead and read that statement?
Yes. Paul Skeens, here we go. We owe something to the city. This is bigger than all of us. There's a reason why Kutch keeps coming back. We've seen the videos of the wild card game. I'm tired of watching them because it was a wild card. The fact that that's the golden era of recent Pirates baseball, that needs to change.
You recall the game on October 1st, 2013, in the wild card game where we beat the Reds. Pretty big game here in Pittsburgh history. I don't think many people forgot that game. But you recall the way that the fans were and how excited and how they were behind that team. And they're just like, people are just yearning for the Pirates to be good so they could get out and support this team. And, people love their Pirates. They do. As much as you think otherwise, most people in this town love their Pittsburgh Pirates. And it's almost like, you got to love your ugly kid too, right? That's kind of what it's become. And Mike, Ken Rosenthal.
Yeah.
He came out and said, he calls for Bob Nutting to sell the Bucks. So I mean, this is coming outside of Pittsburgh now. Other people are seeing what's going on, and again, you can't hang with teams like the Yankees because of the amount of money they put into it. But at least show some fight, show some leadership, like Paul Skeens did with this statement. These guys got to rally around him. He's the big dog from now on. I don't care what anybody says. I don't care who you bring in from here on out. until he goes to the Yankees in 4 or 5 years. He's the guy.
Yeah.
And if he's going to lead this team, you better follow him. So very encouraging, I thought, by Paul Skeens and just his
Yes.
stance on. He's not just the sophomore this year. He's
Mm-mm.
taking control and he's saying, you know what, follow me, guys. I want to win baseball games, and we want to have October 1st, 2013 all over again. We want to enjoy that and give that back to the city. So we hope that they do, Mike. I don't see that they made much different from last year, to be honest with you. Some of the players they brought in, but let's see the mindset they go in this year, and we'll go from there. But I like it. I like Paul Skeens a lot.
I do too. And like you said, man, I love his demeanor of, he wants to win. He wants to win here, wants to win where he was drafted. Now, is the ownership going to live up to their end of the bargain? Probably not. Most likely not. 99.999%.
Paul's fighting an uphill
not.
battle here.
Yes, he is. A very uphill battle. And my God, it's terrible. And, say what about the Penguins and Steelers? They try. Yeah, they got a salary cap. But even when the Penguins didn't have a salary cap, they tried to win. They would tank to get the good players built around them and then tank again. Just did that repetitive cycle until the league got a salary cap. That's the only thing that could potentially help the Pirates if MLB has a salary cap, but they're not going to do it. But you know what? If you spend money, people will come to Pittsburgh. Like you said, you saw it in that run when we were contending to win the division, contending to get into the wild card spot. That stadium was packed, man. It was a raucous atmosphere.
You couldn't get your hand on a ticket, Mike.
No. They went from being like free giveaways to the hottest ticket in town. Here in Pittsburgh, man, we love our teams, but you know what we love more? We love a winner. We love being competitive here in Pittsburgh. We will show up if you are competitive, and they just refuse to spend the money. Like if you spend the money to put a competitive team out there at PNC Park, you will sell out just about every single game. Yeah, afternoon games when, kids are still in school? No. When people are still working? No. But those night games, those weekend games, that stadium will be packed. Packed. And then you add on to the fact, like Yankee fans likes to come down here. Like people from Atlanta, they travel up here to watch the Braves because they know it's going to be an easy ticket to get. Now, if you're competitive, those tickets are harder to get, and those people are going to spend more money to come here and to get it. You're just going to have more revenue. Let's spend some money. Your billionaire owner, inject some of that cash flow into the team and then fucking use that money wisely. Get some actual talent on this team outside of the scrap heap.
Mike, almost like make our scalpers wealthy again.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm like, but that's kind of where it is. It's like whatever is the ownership in the front office is doing, obviously isn't working. I think it's going to take a lot of people beating it into his ear. At first, the kid came out with the shirt that said "sell the team." So I mean, it isn't like that he's not blind to the people have this opinion. He just needs to do something. You either try or get off the pot, right? Shit or get off the pot. You're not doing either one of those. And we're just, again, in Pittsburgh, it's a common theme right now. We're just sitting in limbo. If he would sell or make things better, everybody would be fine with that and happy. But for whatever reason, he wants to not be good and not sell the team. And this is what we have. So let's hope that all comes together. I do want to say good morning. Good morning to Corey. Corey Beaver's on the board. Always great to see you, my friend. Yinzer Joe, likewise with you, sir. And also over enthusiastic mod Caleb. What's up? Let's start with Corey here real quick. He says, I can't watch other sports because I'm a Pitt loyalist, and I can't stand the thought of watching all the Pitt teams disappoint year after year. Steelers do enough damage. Yeah, I'm right there with you, Corey. I really am, because I'm the same way. It's all Pitt teams. And you can't win all the time, so there's a lot more depression than there is excitement. Yinzer Joe, what's up, my brother? We're doing pretty well, man. I'm glad to see you this morning. Glad that everybody made it back from the weekend. And Caleb, what's up to you, my friend? Caleb lost $200 over the weekend, and then he also says, "Happy March Madness! Happy March Madness to you."
If you
Mike,
spend $200 on cocaine and hookers, is it really losing money?
no, it's not
To me,
because you
that's
have to
money
spend.
well spent. That's money well spent right there. That's not a
Well,
loss. That's a win. That's a win.
here's my theory, Mike. If you're with a
Yeah.
chick anyway and you're expecting anything, you're gonna be paying money anyway. You got to buy her dinner. You got to buy whatever. You know what I mean? So who cares how you're spending your money? I mean, you're getting the chick. Why does the government get to say how I get to enjoy my money and my chicks? But anyway, Mike, let's skate over to the ice here real quick. Penguins played 2 over the weekend. They beat the Blue Jackets. They beat Columbus on Friday night
Yep.
6-3. And then they lose, Mike. They lost yesterday in a shootout. They lose 4-3 to the Florida Panthers. The Penguins are currently 29, 32, and 11. They next go to Tampa Bay. They play the Lightning tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Mike, there's only 10 games left in the season for the Penguins, and they very well could back into a playoff spot. I mean, if they continue to win the
Yeah.
way that I can't
Yeah.
believe it. But the more I turn around, the more they're winning now. I with this loss here is like one loss in their last 4 or 5, 6 games, something like that. So anyway you slice it, it's a totally different team than you've seen for the first 85% of the season.
Yeah, they're 5-3-1 in their last 10, like 5-1-1 in their last 7. Oh, what a great time to get hot, boys! Losing the draft pick, bumping further down there. But I like the way they're playing hockey. It's the team. They're not giving up. They're not quitting. The acquisitions, or like the players that Dubas acquired at the deadline, are fitting into the team well. They're playing hard, playing smart hockey. So this gives you hope for next year. Okay, guys that are coming into the team now at the trade deadline. Okay, we know where they're going to slot into the roster next year, and that's going to set the team up better in the long run. Because, like you always say in hockey, Ryan, like these draft picks, we're not going to see them for years down the line. Yeah. So the guys that we got through the trade deadline, I'm liking. Some of the guys in the minors are playing really well. We got the goalie who just broke Matt Murray's winning streak record to start a career down in Wilkes-Barre. So there's already bright pieces to the future in place in this team. So go out, play, try to finish above 500. If you do eke into the playoffs, awesome. It sucks that we're missing out on potential top 5 draft pick, but I'm okay with that, man. Just build the team and build the confidence to go into next year. Find out what type of players these guys are that we got in the trade deadline, and that way where you're at heading into next year. So it kind of sucks, but it's also a blessing as well, because we're finding out what these guys have, and it's looking pretty good. The future might be bright, might be a quick turnaround after missing the playoffs for 8 years, or not making it out of the first round in 8 years.
Let's hope you're right.
I hope.
They are back at it tomorrow night again. That's against the Tampa Bay Lightning in Tampa Bay, guys. In again, 10 games, just 10 games left, Mike, to see if they can make that playoff spot. We sure will see. Let me jump on the board here real quick. Caleb says he gambled. He gambled his money. That's how he lost $200 over the weekend. Yinzer Joe replies by saying, well, that's how you blow your money. I'm sorry. Caleb comes back and says, I should have used that $200 to buy you a skull appointment. You know what? It wouldn't have gone to waste. But I'm sorry to hear you lost money. But you know what? That's a cool thing about gambling. You can now go and make it back, right? Corey Beaver says, yeah.
I was going to say, he gambled the money. Yeah, you gamble every time you snort some coke and hook up with a hooker. So I still am in line saying that's what he spent his money on. I don't think he was gambling per se, as in rolling the dice with those hookers.
Corey says, I started thinking about the 2010-2011 Super Bowl season until now, and I got instantly depressed. LOL. The losses to the New England Patriots and the Jaguars highlighted my depression. I had to journal. Ron, what's up to you, my friend? Good morning. Good morning to you, sir, on the board. Ron Navy, how you doing today? How you doing today, everybody? Welcome back. This again is episode 714. Mike, so a little bit of Buccos, a little bit of Penguins. Let me knock these next couple out of the way, and then we're getting into our Steeler heavy football talk. It is, guys, 1 month away from the draft. 1 month away from right now,
so
guys.
close.
It's going to be draft day. So He'll be here before you know it, Mike. Let's jump into the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they get a win over the Hartford Athletic, 1-0. This is, of course, our soccer team here in Pittsburgh, and this was at home. Mike, next week they also are back at home. They'll be facing the Birmingham Legion FC. This will be regular season play. That game is at 7 o'clock on Saturday. Get down to Highmark Stadium and check out the Hounds. A lot of fun going down there. Now that the weather's getting better, too, it's going to be a great time. Get down to Highmark Stadium and cheer on the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. Also, the PIAA, Mike, it's unfortunate. The Aliquippa Quips, they got eliminated, Mike, just one game in the semifinals before the championship. South Allegheny, the team that beat them in the WPIAL playoffs. They beat them. Now, mind you, Aliquippa puts up about 70, 80 points a game. South Allegheny, the last time they played in the WPIAL championship, South Allegheny won 37-35. Ooh. 37-35. That just goes to show you what kind of a hard game it was. Mike, this weekend, Aliquippa, South Allegheny, the rematch. South Allegheny 36, Aliquippa 31.
God damn.
Wow, what a game.
That's a good game.
As I said, Aliquippa puts up 80 points easy on any given night. South Allegheny was just what they couldn't get. They just couldn't beat South Allegheny this year, Mike. On top of that, the leading scorer for Aliquippa, Josh Pratt, was out with an injury. That certainly didn't help anything. But South Allegheny is off to the PIAA championship game, state championship finals this weekend. So Aliquippa, amongst most other teams in the area, there's a couple left. I think Upper St. Clair's still in there. I think Swickley Academy. A couple of teams that do have the opportunity that aren't in our valley, but are right here in the WPIAL area, Mike. So congratulations, Aliquippa, for getting that far. Just 5 points short of going back to the States and trying to run it back. But that didn't happen. But great job, guys. Always doing county proud. Aliquippa has been eliminated, Mike, in high school basketball. This time next week will be over entirely.
And then football season will hopefully be right around the corner.
And let me finish up with this March Madness, and then we're going to get into all football the rest of the way. Of course, Mike, everybody on the show took a number 1 seed last week before the tournament started. I took Houston, Finch took Florida, you took Duke, and Derpy took Auburn. All 4 of those teams, all 4 number 1s, they did advance to the Sweet 16 this weekend. That means they won their first 2 games in the tournament. They're all scheduled to play at the end of this week into the weekend. Mike, this is what Thursday and Friday look like. I promise you we're not going to stick on this too long, but I do want to cover some March Madness. Mike, the Thursday schedule starts with number 6 BYU taking on number 2 Alabama. Number 4 Maryland taking on number 1 Florida. Number 4 Arizona taking on number 1 Duke. And number 10 Arkansas taking on number 3 Texas Tech. The winners of those games will go on to play over the weekend, Mike, in the Elite 8 round of the tournament. And then on the Friday games, it's going to be number 6 Ole Miss versus number 2 Michigan State. Number 3 Kentucky versus number 2 Tennessee. Number 5 Michigan versus number 1 Auburn. And finally, number 4 Purdue versus number 1 Houston Tortilla. That's correct. No UConn three-peat. It was a good game. I think they could totally won, but Florida was too strong. Getting that game, absolutely, Mike. So there you go. This is your Sweet 16. These are the final 16. One of these 16 teams are going to be your champion, the champion of the March Madness 2025. Just a couple notes from the tournament, Mike. Robert Morris came up just short from right up here in Moon Township. Right up the highway. Robert Morris made it. Mike, they lose to number 2 Alabama 90-81. 90-81. You might say, well, you know what? Still listen to this. Robert Morris was up 65-64 with a little over 6 minutes left in the game. Like Robert Morris was up over Alabama 65-64, a little over 6 minutes. I thought they were going to pull it off. Alabama, the number 2 seed, does. They do move on to play BYU, which is the first game this coming Thursday. Mike, and also another quick note here is this. Arkansas. That's John Calipari. John Calipari, and also Adu Thero, who was from Quaker Valley right here down the river, Big Star High School, and then he went on to Kentucky. He switched over to Arkansas when Coach Calipari went over there. They are back in the Sweet 16. So some local connections. Even though our Pitt Panthers and Penn State didn't make the big
Yep.
tournament, still there's some local connections here. And here's the big news, Mike. No, no perfect brackets are left. Not one.
Wow.
Every single bracket is broken.
Damn.
So there you go.
That's crazy. Usually there's one that kind of ekes it out for just a little bit.
Right. Over to the gridiron, Mike. The UFL season. UFL season kicks off Friday. This Friday, Mike. Just 5 days. 8 o'clock on Friday, the St. Louis Battlehawks take on the Houston Roughnecks. Aliquippa, were we just talking about Aliquippa? Aliquippa grad and standout, West Virginia and Pittsburgh Steeler briefly. Drayvon Askew Henry is with the Seattle Battlehawks. St. Louis Battlehawks, I'm sorry. They'll be taking on the Houston Roughnecks Friday. Check that out at 8 o'clock. And then it goes into the weekend, Mike, with the rest of the game. San Antonio at Arlington, 4 o'clock on Saturday. Michigan at Memphis, 12 o'clock Sunday. And Birmingham versus D.C., 3 p.m. Sunday. Mike, we do have spring football kicking off at the end of the week. Mike, baseball season, the opener. The Penguins, lots of Pittsburgh sports. The Hounds, Mike, and then one more. I just want to say this in a month, a little over a month. The Pittsburgh Passion, the gals here that play in the WFL, they will be kicking off 1 month from the 26th, Mike, and they'll be taking off the Tampa Bay Inferno on the road to kick off their season. So it is, as we were saying, it's going to be a lot of sports to keep us occupied till football season, till the Steelers, till the draft. And but again, of course, the bread and butter, baby. Let's talk about these Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you say?
I am ready for some Steeler talk, baby.
All right, it was a big weekend, man. There's a lot of things going on. I wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything.
Oh yeah, there's just so much in March. It's insane.
Let's see. Is it weird if losing 200 made me not want to sports gamble? No, I don't think it is. I think that's natural. I gotta be honest. Every time I've ever done anything that I sucked at, I mean, at least you could do it again. You know what I mean? If you love to gamble, maybe you think you could win some easy money. But no, I don't think it's odd. I don't think that's odd. Ron says, Mike, you say that talking with experience in that. You say that talking.
You know what? We can go find out together, Ron. Little cocaine and hookers, but
what's
friend.
That referring to? Is that referring to your coke habit, or what's it?
Yeah, my cocaine and hookers.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yinja Joe, I had a hard time with have to turn this heartbreak around. We have to turn this heartbreak around. No two ways about it. And we got some Steelers scoop here today, so we'll see. The more and more we get into what we have. Corey says, no, Caleb, I lost $50 on a scratch off once, and I decided it was a scam and never did that shit again. I think you're $200 too late. Better than $2,000 at least. You know what the thing is? You win some, you lose some, right? I don't gamble because I lose all the time at everything. But I know that normal people, they do have it fluctuates. It goes up and down. Not me. Tortilla Jackson says, damn, UConn already lost. You know what they should? They were Tortilla. They were like 8 or 9, and they took the L to Florida. And I think they only lost by 2. I think it was 79-77 when it was all said and done. UConn could have definitely won that game, but Florida was just a little too much for them this weekend. But it just goes to show you Big East basketball, Mike. It hasn't gone anywhere. Again, back-to-back national champions.
Yep.
And then again, very competitive UConn team. So they'll be okay moving forward. Corey says, to start the convo on the Steelers today, I saw a video where the media is essentially mocking us because of how badly we're relying on Rodgers as our savior, like it's make it or break it because of him. We do look we look desperate. No two ways about that. Corey also goes on to say, Caleb, at least you still have your poster. You could probably sell it on eBay to get your money back. Ron says, how about that Penn State wrestling? Wrestling looking good over there, Mike?
Oh, yeah. They just won the big tournament. God, our guy just won his 5th ever national championship, the first to ever do it. He just dominated through the entire tournament. I was following along on Twitter, and yeah, everywhere you looked, Penn State with a win, Penn State with a win, Penn State with a win. We got that going for us, which is nice. And looks like Ryan's a little behind.
Good for him. Good for that young man. Always great to hear. Congratulations on that. Corey says, I think I bouncing back in here, hopefully.
Yeah, you're back in now, brother.
Okay. But yeah, it's these teams. It's these teams, Corey. It is St. Louis, the Battlehawks, the Houston Roughnecks, the San Antonio's what do they call them, like the Brahma?
Yeah, the
The
Brahma.
Arlington Renegades, Michigan, Memphis, Birmingham Stallions, and the DC team. That is the teams that are in the UFL now. Again, I was a big Pittsburgh Mauler fan. I wish they would have still been around. Hey, Pittsburgh football in the ring, right? Let me move down here. Mark Malone, if you want to draft a DL in the first round, you're a scarlet-wearing hillbilly. Mike, is that reference to you, or is that a different scarlet?
I'm a skullet wearer, but I don't know about the hillbilly part. But I'm a skullet wearer, baby.
That's true. P, what's up, my man? Good morning to you, sir. He says Vegas, not sure about the Coke. Hella hookers, though. That's what I'm talking about. Mark Malone says they were trained by Sandusky. That's how they get away so well. They wrestle their way out of things because of these Sandusky days, maybe. Possibly there. Corey says, I'm sorry. Caleb says, Corey, I will never sell my friend Jim Palmer. P, fifth graduate already, buddy. Not sure what that was referring to. And then
that was about the
finally,
Penn State
Mark
guy.
Malone. Oh, the Penn State. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And then Mark Malone goes on to say, believe you me, they don't want to get pinned. That's right. You don't want to get pinned at Penn State. You don't know who's pinning you. You don't know who's around. But yeah, you don't want to get pinned over there. And let's see, let me come up here real quick. And then Corey says, so I hear you saying that I have a chance to be Pittsburgh's number one. You do. You do, Corey. It's true. And Mike ain't doing hills anymore. Yeah. No, he's not anymore. Not anymore. Guys, let's hop into this. First of all, I do want to say that Jameis Winston did get a 2-year deal with the New York Giants, which could play a role in everything that's going on moving forward, because maybe this is the guy they feel is going to be their starter. Maybe it's not. We don't know that. We do know that after Aaron Rodgers left on Friday, that was the big story, guys. We were talking about Aaron Rodgers showing up at the facility on Friday during the show. Guys, he stuck around for a positive 6-hour visit with the Steelers on Friday. No contracts were signed, nothing, no decisions were made. But Mike, from what I understand, it was a good meeting between the Steelers and Aaron Rodgers. Again, as you said, or somebody said earlier, there is a feeling of desperation. But at this point, I don't know if there is. Every other option is gone. Every other person that was in play is gone. I don't think it's desperation anymore. I just think that we're going to get what we get. And if it's Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be Aaron Rodgers. He's going to bring his 5-12 record with him this year. He's going to be probably the offensive coordinator. I can't imagine that Aaron Rodgers at 41 years old is going to take back seat to 42-year-old Arthur Smith, just a year older. Mike, this could be very interesting. And I know that you love the idea of Aaron coming here. I feel the only thing he really brings is the veteran. He's been there, done that. And he could probably lay some nice passes in the receiver's hands. But, Mike, as Russell Wilson turned out to be a one-trick pony with these rainbow passes, what happens if the defense starts shutting down the things that Aaron Rodgers does well? Again, he doesn't have the feet of the guy that we lost to the Jets. He doesn't have the youth of maybe a younger player. But at the end of the day, Mike, it looks like Aaron Rodgers is probably, because he's running out of options, not because we're out of options, but because he's running out of options. I think Aaron Rodgers ends up as a Pittsburgh Steeler this year. Unfortunately, that's just the way I feel at this time. How that will decide, how that will change the way we draft, how that will dictate how we do things, we don't know just yet, Mike. But I get a sneaky suspicion, because it's either us, the Giants, or retirement at this point. I know that the Packers don't want him. I know the Jets don't want him. I know the Vikings don't want him. I don't know these teams want him. But anyway, he could be our starting quarterback. And like I said, at this point, Mike, there's not many other options.
No, there's not many other options, and like I'm okay with him coming here and being the quarterback for a year. Everyone like, well, what do we want as a fan base here? Do we want to tank to get a good quarterback? Do we want to assign a veteran quarterback that we can finally win a playoff game? What do we want? Because everyone keeps saying the same thing. Like, we gotta get our guy, but we also gotta win a playoff game. So which one is it? You can do both. You can get Aaron Rodgers, build up to try and win a couple playoff games this year and use draft capital next year to trade up and get your guy. So by going after Aaron Rodgers, the Steelers can potentially sway, erase, massage everyone's in this fan base's desires of what they want: a new franchise quarterback and a nice little playoff run. So why not kill two birds with one stone and go out and get a guy who put up top 8, top 5 quarterback numbers last year? I'd go get him. Now, this is a guy right here. He can see the entire field, unlike Russ. He doesn't have to rely on his feet to scramble around to soften up a defense the way Justin Fields did. Aaron Rodgers can still make every single throw you want a quarterback to make. Now, just don't if he comes in here with no drama the way I know the way he did in New York and the way he ended Green Bay, I'm okay with
He was
it.
a pain in the ass in New York. He got hurt the first play. He got the coach fired. I mean, the list of things that went on.
Well, if he gets the coaches fired, that's what 95% of this fan base apparently wants to. So why aren't we kicking down the doors to get Aaron Rodgers? We want to tank. We want to win a playoff game. We want to get Mike Tomlin fired. Apparently, that's what everyone wants. Aaron Rodgers can get you all three outcomes. He can get you any of those outcomes. So why are we not kicking down the door to get this guy as a fan base?
Well, because like I said, I mean, he might have had a great year statistically, but the best he did for the team was made him 5-12. I don't really. And the thing is, Justin Fields, he was 6-2 or 4-2. I mean, one guy literally played better last year. We went with the other guy, the older guy who can't move. But Mike, they will still be in touch. That's one thing that we did learn from the meeting on Friday. They still will be in touch. Two sides will stay in touch, even though they have not come to any conclusions. Mike, but we do know this. I do know that the New York Giants, they're still eyeballing Russell Wilson after adding Jameis Winston, Mike. So they're in the same boat that we are. I think that they just, they don't want to be on the bottom. It seems like we're going to be on the bottom no matter how this plays out. They might take Russell. Who knows? It's up in the air. I know that they, as I said, they are still keeping their eye on Russell Wilson. Like one thing that is guaranteed, though, one thing that's guaranteed about Aaron Rodgers, if in fact he is a Steeler, by the time they throw the schedule together, Mike, Aaron Rodgers games means mad primetime games. Did you see how many primetime games the Jets had over the past 2 years?
Yeah.
Especially 2 years ago before he got injured.
Yeah.
And they were expecting him to be, healthy week in, week out. So if you like Sunday nights, you like Monday nights, you like Saturday nights, Thursday nights, whatever night, one thing is guaranteed. If Aaron Rodgers comes here being the player, the person that he is, the profile, the high profile guy, they're going to certainly be paying a lot of attention, especially if he goes to the storied franchise like the Steelers. One thing is guaranteed: we will have more primetime games than we have been having, in more than most everybody has as well. Because again, Mike, the Jets, they weren't good forever. You take Aaron Rodgers, all of a sudden the Jets were in every Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night game, and then Aaron got hurt, of course. Which couldn't happen to a better team like the Jets. It's just kind of the thing that happens to them. But Mike, at the end of the day, you are getting primetime games. You're getting with Aaron Rodgers. You're also getting, Mike, possibly, as I said, again, a situation. How does this play out? Because people are doubting the head coach. People are doubting the offensive coordinator. I'm looking at Artie Smith, only 1 year older than Aaron Rodgers. How does that whole thing play out once it comes down to it? Because here's the thing, it ain't like they're taking all this extra time. Let's get together in March. Let's talk about this a little bit. No, Aaron's playing Aaron games. We don't even know he's going to be on the team. So at some point, they're going to have to get together with Arthur Smith, with Aaron Rodgers, with Mike Tomlin, and decide how the hell they're going to run shit. I guarantee it's going to be a train wreck. But as you said, Mike, if you're going to take an L, get some better players, I guess now is the time to do it, right?
Exactly that. This is what a lot of the fan base has been clamoring for, and like his signing ticks off a lot of boxes. Like I said, we can either stay where we're at, we can either tank with him, or he gets the coach fired. Which all three outcomes, which is you know
That's
a
not
third
gonna
of the
happen.
fan base wants each one to happen. A third of the fan base wants this to happen. Another third wants that to happen. Another third wants that happen. So
I promise
go
you,
out,
he
go
will
out and
not
get
get
the guy.
fired because of Aaron Rodgers. I promise you, he will not
No,
get fired because of Aaron
no, but
Rodgers.
that's people want to see what happened. Let's go and do it, man. I'm
I mean, that's
all
ridiculous.
I'm
Just
all
because it
for like
happened with
the
the guy in New York. I mean, people are
yeah,
saying
no,
that's
yeah,
it's not a possibility.
yeah.
Not even a
No,
possibility.
it's not a possibility. But he sat there for what, like a 6 hour meeting. I'm sure at some point it was brought up. Listen, this is how things are going to go if you come here. Here's the process that we're going to go through. Here's the offense we like to run. What offense do you like to run? How can we make it work? That's had to have been a huge chunk of that conversation. Not of, hey, want to go take a tour of the facility that got an F by our players, or do you want to sit here in the office and talk shop? So hopefully, a lot of it was sitting down and talking like how is this going to work? Because we're not going to put it. Steelers, I don't think the Steelers will put up with his bullshit unless he goes out there and wins. That's the thing in any sport. As long as you're winning, teams and fans, owners, everyone will put up your bullshit as long as you're winning.
I think the Jets would have put up with his BS if they would have won.
If he was
Again,
winning, yeah.
5-12, not much to get excited about. Let's jump on the board. Corey says, I still think Russ would be a better option, though, just because he's cheaper and has better chemistry with our guys. A second-year system guy is better than a first problem guy. Mark Malone says he does have a brain and an arm, though. P says Rogers is there to get Tomlin fired. Obviously, that's one thing I think I think they would certainly put Aaron Rodgers to the curb. I honestly do before they would let that kind of situation happen. I think that Mike Tomlin, despite what people say or hope or think, I think he's got a ways to go before he gets canned. I really do, guys. Again, it's hard to fire a guy that doesn't lose. I mean, postseason, yes, that's what
Yeah.
obviously the problem is. But you're going to look at his overall record, and people are going to say, "Dude, you're crazy. You just don't win this many games, Mike." I think we're right up there with wins, and since
Yeah.
Super Bowl I, since 2000,
Yep.
it still wins a lot of football games. So I
We
don't
just
see
can't
that
win them when they
happening.
matter. That's what's
Yeah. Mark Malone says we should tank so we could get our Jamarcus Russell in 2026. That's right, the big draft next year, guys, coming right here to Pittsburgh, where Mark Malone and Ron Navy will be slumbering over at Mike's house. From what I understand, Mike is going to be generous and allow as many people that would like to come stay at his house for the draft next year. Corey says, Mark, do you want me to end myself? Tanking and not striking gold from it could cost us a decade of being a basement dweller. P says, I ain't what I was in 2021 and still have 1.5 ACLs, Corey. Mark Malone says, fact is, Rodgers would be the best QB we've had since 2017. Let's see here. Ron Navy still wants Cousins. He still wants Cousins. Cousins is still. I actually had a dream that we got him. I was upset with myself, but
Isn't that a nightmare?
I woke up and I had a dream that I think Derpy sent me a text saying we got Cousins.
Okay, so now it's officially a nightmare. Derpy is talking to
right
you in your dreams. Okay, that is a nightmare right there.
Corey says, Ron, did you know that Cousins is going to get us a 10-7 and a no-show in the playoffs as well? No thanks. Cousin can't show up in the prime time. I'll pass. That's what I'm saying. These guys, they all have a and but after their name.
Yeah.
And that doesn't make it feel very appealing. But at the end of the day, we're gonna have to make a move somewhere.
We're riding with Mason, baby.
Roger says, I think with this receiving core, we have to have a veteran under center. We can't waste this talent. I think Rodgers gives us a chance to at least be competitive. That's a good point. I mean, the guy is, as Mike said, I mean, he still put up pretty good numbers last year. Not a great season, but pretty damn good season. And he can still throw the ball around. And then given two options like Pickens and DK, maybe, and just maybe things could be better. But Mike, the one thing, as we were saying earlier, Russell was really limited. Wilson, he was short. It was hard for him to see downfield. For two, he played 2/3 of the field across. You knew nothing was coming over the middle, and then once people started playing the rainbow ball, that disappeared as well. So, maybe let's see what Aaron Rodgers has in the tank. We've seen what Russell Wilson has in the tank, and could it get better with him? I don't know. I don't know, Mike. I just don't know.
Oh, just like looking at like the way Rodgers played, like he got better as the season went on. It's like he got healthier as the season went on. Like that, he started to feel comfortable with what his Achilles was able to do. But he still has that attitude, and I'm all for it because it's entertainment for us.
Absolutely. Caleb says the only guarantees of Rodgers joining the team is Artie Smith will be out by week 6.
Now that would be a win. That might be worth it right there for my neck. That might be worth it for a lot of people is to get rid of Artie Smith.
See, that's what I'm saying. It ain't going to be Mike Tomlin. He's not losing his job, but Artie Smith, he may very well lose his job.
See, like the more we talk about it, the better and better this gets. Okay.
It's even better the fact that you got hurt just talking because
I hear my neck pop.
Because the last time you got hurt, it was going reverse in your car. Now you're doing even less. You were just talking. And you got hurt. So don't you think I'll ever forget what just happened on the screen? In case anybody missed it, Mike was talking and he pulled his neck.
I cracked my neck and then it popped really loud.
And he said, ow.
I did say, it kind of hurt too, man. Instead of jolt down my spine.
Also, Mike, Joe Milton, this name keeps popping up to the young man up in the New England system. Mike, I can't listen. We got 1 month, month till the draft. So 1 month and 1 day.
I can't wait.
We're gonna have a lot of answers. We're gonna have a lot of answers to the questions that we have today. But again, Mike, Aaron Rodgers is a big thing. Joe Milton, still a thing. I mean, people are still even mentioning the names like Joe Flacco being available. Mike, we just don't know. But at this point, if I was a gambling man, and I'm not, I'd say we're probably going to be going with Aaron Rodgers.
I do too. It's going to be Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph show, or if they strike out on Aaron Rodgers, it's going to be the Mason Rudolph show. I think they're comfortable running a whole season with Mason Rudolph and seeing what happens.
Corey goes on to say, Roger, I see your point, man, but he's not a quiet guy. He's going to overshadow our talent with his attitude, and it's going to be astronomically worse than Pickens' attitude. Like also another thing I was thinking, the Browns could really stick it to us. If they decide late before we make a move with Aaron, let's just say that they hurry up and they grab Russell Wilson, and then we don't come to a resolve with Aaron Rodgers. I think the Browns could stick it to us if they wanted to, because boy, that put us in a position. If we don't get Aaron Rodgers and they swipe Russ up like as the news is going on, then it's pretty much going to be cut and dry. It's going to be a Mason. It's going to be a Rudy here because what's our options at that point? Maybe Joe Milton. I don't know, but
God, no.
Cleveland could stick it.
Yeah, they could, but I still say like we would beat them with Mason Rudolph as our quarterback, no matter who their quarterback is. That team is falling apart fast.
Yeah,
I just don't think
Rodgers is. I just think that it's an opportunity for them to mess with us. Again, if Russell Wilson's sitting there with no job at the end of the day, he's going to be a little bit more available to work out something with a team like the Browns. If that be the case, I'm just saying whether they want to or not, I think that Cleveland could put us in a position, provided that things don't go the way that we feel that they're going to go right at this moment with our quarterback situation. P says Rodgers isn't Montana to the Chiefs. This is Rivers to Indianapolis. Roger Murray goes on to say, I still want someone to tell me how Pickens' attitude is so bad. Guy wants to win, and he hasn't had a QB in his short career. According to Grossi, Wilson is reportedly asking for $20 million, $20 to $30 million per year.
Yeah.
Caleb says at P, Worse, Matt Ryan to the Colts level.
I don't think it's going to be that bad if we get him.
Hey, Richard Jankowski, good morning to you, man. I guess good afternoon, depending where you are. Richard says I wouldn't pay $30 million for Rodgers. You know what, for a bridge quarterback, I don't know if I'd be paying $30 to anything, Mike. I think monetarily, it's probably the best bet to stick with Mason Rudolph because you're going to give one of these guys a 1 or 2 year deal with a lot of money because of their name, basically. And there's no guarantee. The guy went to the Jets, and they have a decent team, Mike. They won 5 games again. So, it's all how you play the game, I guess. P says Rodgers is $10 million with hella options tops. Richard says I wouldn't pay $20 million for Wilson. He says he wouldn't pay 30 for Rodgers and then wouldn't pay 20 for Wilson. Let's see. Okay, and then we also got Mark Malone says Mason 2025. Hold on, my board moved. Go ahead and read that one, Mike, for a second for me.
Yeah, he's predicting Mason's going to complete 300 out of 450 passes, 4,000 yards, 35 MVP for Mason. I am here for it.
Well, that would be something.
Yeah, I am here for the Mason Rudolph MVP, and we can get a what's his name up in Cleveland? Myles Garrett can win Defensive Player of the Year, and they can be at the award ceremony together, and they can hug it out, baby. Let's go.
P says $10 million for Wilson would be crazy. His scouting report is written. Corey says Big Ben got excited at the mention of Joe Flacco being our quarterback. I'm not against Joe Flacco either.
Talking for Ben. I just don't.
I'm not against Flacco. P says Flacco looking like the Red Dead Redemption.
He's looking like when he has the tuberculosis.
Let's see. Mark Malone, they'd be doing us a favor. Mark goes on to say. Also, P says Flacco holding on like Vinny Testaverde with the J. Yeah, Vinny did hang on for a long time, didn't he? Let's see what's next, Mike. Mark Malone, man, he played a long time. No two ways about that. Also, Vinny played from rabbit ears to what to 720. I don't know what the end of this is, but the 720. But I know playing from rabbit ears means it's been a long time.
720p. That's the that's like a streaming.
Okay, so that makes sense. Mark says insane but true. Roger says, Mike, I saw your face. I saw the face you made about GP. Haha. Okay. So in one play, he didn't block for Warren. Another play, he was wrongly flagged for his gun pointing first down. That was BS. Yeah, I mean.
And not running his routes properly, showing up late to meetings has been reported, showing up late to games, it was reported, fighting fans again, the face mask against Dallas when he just ripped the guy there. There's a lot of immature behavior that you see from George Pickens, and it's there. I like the guy. I want him on our team, but to act like there's no justification to say George Pickens' attitude, it's kind of like, just putting blinders on and just seeing the production that he puts out there. I like the production he puts out there. I want the Steelers to keep him, but my man is a loose cannon. That's why, when we got DK, people were like, oh my God, these two are crashing out every single game. It's there. He has the potential to snap whenever.
Tortilla Jackson said if you surround Mason with enough talent, he would look elite. You know what? He just never looks natural to me. That's my problem with him. I wish he could just look a little bit more natural out there.
Like when he throws, it's like it looks like he's like throwing like eyes all squinting in
it. Yeah. I wish he didn't look stiff. I wish he just looked more natural. That's the thing that bugs me about him. I'm not saying he's not. He did good things when he played, but geez, oh man, there's just something about Mason. I can't put my finger on it, but I think he doesn't look natural.
He doesn't look natural.
Corey says, imagine if Mason turns into the Darnold this year, but keeps that energy and becomes our guy. Best case scenario. Mark Malone says, no, Mason should have a race war death match with Garrett in a cage. You know what? I am 100% against race war kind of things, but you know what? I would pay to watch that in a heartbeat.
That would be like
Myles Garrett and Mason Rudolph fighting to the death in a cage would be one of the greatest things ever.
Like on South Park when Stan and Token were about to feud and Cartman's running around, race war,
Yeah,
it's on, it's on.
yeah. As long as it's not a race war, I'll tune in. But
That's all I.
and then this time Mason Rudolph gets the helmet. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
make it a little
Roger,
fair this time.
yeah. Roger says, like all receivers of his caliber, he pouted when he didn't get thrown at. So I think we've allowed the media to paint GP. Yeah, I mean GP is going to be GP. It's just going to like Plexico Burris. As time moved on and he got better, you hoped that his personality, his character would get it better, and you know what? It did to a degree. I just think that
Mm-hmm.
GP is going to be GP the same way Plex was Plex when he was here. You got to take it or leave it. He's going to get you statistics. He's going to get you numbers.
Yeah.
He's going to help you win football games. But at the end of the day, the guy is he's a loose cannon. So I mean, it is what it is. I think with Devontae Adams, if we would have brought him in last year, he would have
Mm-hmm.
similar situations. He has a history of doing these kind of things. So again, this is where we're at. I wouldn't trade him away. He was our draft pick. He's going to do a lot of great things for our offense. But at the end of the day, like with Aaron Rodgers, with GP, with DK, with Slade, it could certainly be
Oh
a
yeah,
very, very interesting season.
that's what
But you
I'm
know what?
talking about.
If you're losing a couple games to try to get some people in the draft next year, this isn't the worst case scenario. We could have gotten beat
Yeah,
people's asses while we lose
yeah,
some games. I guess that's a little bit of a consolation, right?
exactly. You make it fun and entertaining. I want to see poor Broderick Jones trying to be the peacemaker out there. When in
I
deep
want to
down
see.
he wants to go beat people up too. This is what I want to see. I want to see Broderick Jones holding back DK and George Pickens.
P says R.I.P. Mason. Corey says, Mark, do you want Mason dead? That's almost a guarantee. Roger, we had already lost the game against Dallas and the Fighting Fans. Now that's new to me. Corey says, does Mason get the helmet as his weapon? Yeah, I think that Mason certainly gets the helmet this
I
time.
think he gets two. He gets to go in like windmill action.
Yeah. Tortilla says Mason's got to play on perks like Rogers does. Richard says it's the flashback of Mason's happy feet a few years ago that's giving you the bad vibes. P says Mason's angel on his shoulder saved him last time. Well, he was certainly lucky that it happened around Christmas. I mean, if Rudolph didn't get the the going in his favor the way that he did and won those 3 games to finish up the season, I don't think that would have happened if it wasn't Christmas, Mike. It just had to be because it was Rudolph, right?
It was too. Yeah, it was meant to be.
Mark Malone says, yeah, the South Park race war was hilarious.
It's so wrong. That episode, it was great.
Mike, let me get into this. Beanie Bishop, of course, last week we mentioned that
Yes.
we mentioned the extra payout, the bonus
Yeah.
for all right on the line. Mike Beanie Bishop, he did receive an extra $676,290.93 for his performance bonus. So for the 2 rookies that really stepped up I mean, obviously Frazier, of course,
Yeah.
but for what was the guy on the
McCormick.
guard? McCormick. He's
McCormick.
slipping my mind. So by just by the bonuses for performance that these guys got, that tells you that these guys really stepped up. Mike, I think Beanie had a pick or two during the season. He certainly made some big plays throughout the season that I really like Beanie.
Yeah.
And then McCormick on the line. I mean, what more can you say about a guy getting thrown on a starting offensive line in your rookie season? Not out of a great college. I mean, not you know what I mean? It wasn't like he had the best competition in college, Mike. So you really got to give it to these guys. Again, Beanie Bishop Jr. Now he also receives his performance bonus, Mike, of about $677,000. So good for him. Good for him. He really stepped up when he needed to.
He did.
Year.
He had the two big interceptions against future teammate Aaron Rodgers. He had, I think, another one down the line as well. And yeah, he earned it. What, undrafted rookie free agent, I believe he was, and then McCormick being like a later round draft pick, 5th, 6th round pick, I think. And like you said, it's a really small school guy who was meant to be groomed to start this year, possibly in place of James Daniels, to be thrust into the lineup last year on the fly. Kind of wavered towards the end a little bit, but was still a breath of fresh air. You can see his athleticism, his aggressiveness, and my God, he's just going to be a breakout year this year with him. And if him and Frazier can have a breakout year, and Fatanu can come back and his quote unquote red shirt year be a beast as well. My God, that center from your whole right side of your line is just going to be fucking dominant, and you just got to worry about Project Jones out on the left side. So
yeah. P says Mason was definitely on his crush out tip. Corey says Mason ain't no bitch though. He will stupidly take on Garrett without fear. You know what? I wouldn't have it any other way
right,
though. At least if you're gonna lose, at least go down fighting. That's always kind of been my motto.
Yeah, he stepped up, man. He wasn't afraid. He got hit in the head with the helmet. He still went back for more.
I seen the memes. He has a flat ass head now because of that, right?
Heck yeah.
We all seen the memes. Mark Malone says, yeah, he was pissed last time at Corey Beavers. And then also P says committed to those NFL Mexican supplements. Mike, speaking of dummy, where's your dummy at?
He is actually out on a scouting trail.
I usually look and I see two hideous faces today. I only see one hideous face.
He drank a bunch of beer and he decided he's going to go out and walk the earth like Kane and take a look at for some prospects for the Steelers. He heard we were only able to send, I think, one representative to the Michigan Pro Day, so he flew out there as quickly as he could. So he's going to be out on the scouting trail. He'll be back next week with an update for us on some prospects to keep an eye on. So the dummy's putting in the work.
All right. Well, that's weird, but I'm going to take your word. Just odd. I just didn't see. I look up and I usually see two dummies on my screen. Today, just the one dummy. I got to get used to what I'm looking at here. But Mike, as I said on the board, let me get to this next question because this is kind of where I'm going. Joe says, I hope so. I so hope we get Grant to help that D line. We got ran on so bad later in the season. Mike, my next question was this. It really was Grant from Michigan. We've been talking about him quite often. The possibility of Grant being our first round pick, Mike, I don't put it out of the question. I don't put it out of the question one bit. But as we said before, Mike, with all the holes that we still have in the offense, people could say, well, we could get a running back in the third round. We could get this in the second round. We had all those things. We had a running back, a high draft pick running back. We had this, we had that. Why the fact that we're not addressing those holes is the only reason why I'd say that we wouldn't go after the defensive lineman in Michigan this year, Mike. But I mean, again, it's not out of the question. What's the chances they take DL in the first round?
Me personally, we all know I think it should be a high priority. For them, the way they're going about it in free agency, it's telling me that it's a priority, but not their top priority in the draft. And that's why I think they might be going running back in round one. Like it would not surprise me if they get running back round one and pick a D lineman in round three. By the time they get to round three, there should still be some pretty good defensive linemen still there that aren't going to be like the immediate impact of like a Grant would be, but like next year would be a guy to take over for Cam Hayward. So I can see them doing that right there, getting a guy that will be a rotational piece this year, full-time starter next year.
And Mike, you also got to consider Larry Ogunjobi's gone. And Cam isn't exactly young anymore. And Keanu Benton never really lived up to it. So I mean, it's not out of the question to go defensive tackle in the first round at the 21st pick. But at the end of the day, you're still sitting there. You still don't have a running back. You still don't have a quarterback. Your offensive line is very, very young without depth at this time. We've already lost, from nasty Nate Herbig down to those other players that you mentioned. And it's wild. Like we still have so much work to do on offense, and obviously this is where we needed some work to begin with, but we also have to keep up with the defense. Let's see on the board. Also, P says contract year. Corey Beaver says, Mark, how effed up is it that though that he got concussed with a helmet and then being accused of a racist to justify being that whole situation was weird. I didn't like it when it happened. And I don't like it even more now just because, as what you're saying there, but I don't understand how anything could have been like that came out. It shouldn't have. It was a stupid football play, and the dude smashed the guy over the head with his helmet. I don't know. Don't throw that other stuff into my opinion. There was nothing in my opinion that pointed to that. That's what I'm trying to say. Let's see. Tortilla says hot take. Jones will be our best lineman. Okay, here it is. Hot take: Jones will be our best lineman going back to the left side. McCormick and Frazier will have a down year in year 2. Troy will be injured by week 7, and Isaac will be on the decline. I don't have a.
But hey, as long as Broderick becomes our best offensive lineman, a lot of Steeler fans will be happy.
Yeah. Piece as well. He said something slick to catch those feelings on national TV. Yeah, I don't know. And if he did, he's an awfully stupid person. I don't know. I don't remember all the details. Again, if they fought in a cage match, I would be all for it, Mike. I would pay a pay-per-view to watch those two fight to the death in a cage match.
I pay like good money to watch like anyone fight to death in a cage match. We're base creatures, so let's do it, boys.
Corey says P. Yeah, I think Mason told him to get the fuck off after the play was over, and Garrett got pissed. P says the 3 running backs on the roster, and Mark Malone says Scarlets are growing. Yeah, you know what? I like the running backs that we have right now. I like Jaylen Warren. I like Kenny G. Well, obviously we got from the Eagles, Mike. But at the end of the day, I just don't know what kind of position we'll be in if at some point, Jalen's knee ends out looking like Chubb's did 2 seasons ago when Minka ran into him. Let's just say we have a problem. Let's just say he blows an ACL early. Now the running back situation ain't looking so good. So again, Jaylen Warren looks awesome. The position looks good. Bringing the third back guy over from Philadelphia looks good. But if somebody goes down, like the starter, let's say Jalen does go down, we could be in a pretty dark place. But Mike, you were suggesting maybe they might get their running back in the first round. Do you think that
I don't think so. I can see Dallas taking Genty. I can see. Hold on, I got to pull up the big board here real quick because I forget who all needs running backs. Could you see the Raiders doing something stupid like that? I could. I can see the Cowboys taking Genty because they got their quarterback, they got their wide receiver. They need another star running back. But if he doesn't go at 12 in the Cowboys, I can see him falling down to Pittsburgh. Now, do I take him or do I take Hampton out of North Carolina? That's the toss-up right there.
Absolutely. Let's see. Corey says, I wouldn't pay for a 30-second fight. That's true. Well, if Mason gets the weapon, maybe it might last 45 seconds. I don't know. But I don't think that fight lasts long anyway. Tortilla Jack says, I didn't think it through. If Troy goes down, Jones goes back to the right side and we're screwed. What went wrong with what went wrong with him, Mike? What went wrong with Broderick Jones? I mean,
up here,
the guy coming off that Georgia team, the national champion team, they won a couple years in a row. Yeah. They was a big name. We thought, oh, we got our guy.
Yeah,
here we are 3 seasons later.
Yeah, he had a great second half of that rookie year when he came in. He revitalized the run game. And then he came in last year, and there were reports coming out that, he thought he was hot shit. And then he was more or less getting in his own way. And, like, the offensive line coach was hinting at that, too. Like, you got to you got to focus on this, dude. You got to focus. And that's just the thing with him. He's a raw talent. He didn't play a whole lot at Georgia, but you can see the potential was there. And that's why, he was drafted in the first round. Like a lot of teams wanted him. It's that potential, and the athleticism is there. The mean streaks there. Everything that you want in a player is there, but it's turning into like, can he focus on it? Can he get back to that form of that rookie year? Is he going to be another Chase Claypool where we see a handful of good games and then the talent goes away because he can't get out of your own way? If he can, get back, refocus, I think he's going to be a damn good offensive lineman in the league. But can he get out of his own way? That's the big problem with him.
And the thing is, we haven't seen a period of time where that happened, where it was where you're content with what he's doing and
Yeah.
and it stayed consistent. That's the thing about him.
Yeah.
He's got a lot to gain this season. I think, Mike. I think
Yeah.
that if this line stays healthy, he's going to be where he's supposed to be. I think he has a lot to gain, personally as a player, and hopefully he could do that, Mike. Again, in his sophomore season, you'd like to see that happen for your young offensive lineman.
Yeah.
It'd certainly go a long way for the Steelers if he could get his shit together.
Yeah.
Um, let's see. Richard says, I'm not expecting any real answers at quarterback this year. I just hope that they go after the other pieces they need: defensive line, running back, cornerback, and offensive tackle. Mark Malone says, yeah, the Slit Slayer is going to chip in.
Slit
P says,
Slayer.
P says the Raiders run that organization like they're chasing the dragon on a handle of Jim Beam. That's really accurate. Mike, yeah, good.
That is fucking perfect.
Yeah. The Raiders. That team's never been good. I mean, come on. 2002 when they lost to Tampa Bay. In my life, again, I'm almost, 30. The Raiders just never really been that good in my life. They really haven't. But they still remain to be one of these, most popular organizations. It's got to be that logo. It's got to be the logo. They do got a cool logo uniform thing going on out there. Mike, one other name I'm going to throw out to you, because every
Yeah.
day you kind of get new names and new faces and new possibilities and people, their rumors and their mock drafts. Here's the one of the day, Mike. Today's name of the day: quarterback out of Montana State. This Tommy Mellott, Mellott, is one that popped up over the weekend. Is another player that the Steelers may be interested in as a later round quarterback pick. Mike, do you know anything about Tommy Mellott from Montana State?
I know goddamn nothing about
And where are
Tommy
they
Malone.
finding these guys? How do you find a Tommy Mellott out there?
That's what I want to know. I do not know who a Tommy Mellott is.
Tommy Mellott is a quarterback out of Montana State that was mentioned in the Steeler news over the weekend online. Mike, I've never seen the guy. I've never heard of the guy, but
Like
we'll be able to look that up. So, yeah,
I
see what we
am
got.
on like all the draft sites that I use, and I do not see this name anywhere. Like who was coming up with this? Is like when you are you need content. You're just throwing
Yeah.
names out there.
I'm gonna go find a guy that's playing for
Oh, here we go.
a
Tommy Mellott.
fun.
Let's see what kind of 5'11", 208. That's all I got on Tommy Mellott.
Wow. So he's a shrimp.
Right? Yeah, this is that's comical.
So there you go,
Yeah,
Tommy
PFF has
Mellott.
nothing on him.
I wouldn't pre-order my Tommy Mellott jersey. Just saying, was a name that did come up over the weekend in some Steeler news. But there you go, Mike. He's 5'11", 208 pounds. Corey
He
says, all I
ran a
know is no
4.3.
matter who our starting quarterback, I don't want to wait until draft day to find out. That's effing stupid for no reason. Terrible organizational planning. Remember, guys, today we were 1 month, just 1 month away from the 2025 NFL draft. I can't believe it, Mike. I can't believe it, because after this show's over, we'll have less than a month of shows till that happens. I'm excited. I know everyone's excited to see what we're going to do in the draft this year. Mike, I'm going to go to this right here real quick. A couple things around the NFL. Former Pitt Panther and Super Bowl champion Avonte Maddox from Philadelphia. Mike, another player from Western Pennsylvania ending up in that Detroit Lions system. I think at this point they're just plucking people that has experience in Pittsburgh. I think Randall L was the receiver coach. I think he went over to the Bears. But there's a handful of guys, Mike. You go down through the coaches and people, a lot of Pittsburgh people involved. And I think Detroit did that by design, because I learned a lot about Detroit during Super Bowl 40. I really did. In the fans and the people of Detroit, the way that they treated the Steelers as their team, because the Lions were so bad for so long. So that wouldn't surprise me. Again, the former Philadelphia Super Bowl champion cornerback Avonte Maddox is signed with Detroit. Also, Mike, we were talking about Jameis Winston going to New York. Get this. And you may remember from a trivia question, probably about, it's been a while, but listen to this. Jameis Winston can become the first black starting quarterback for the New York Giants to start in a season opener. They're one of two teams. They're one of two teams that has still not had a black starting quarterback start a season opener.
That's
So
wild. It's like 100 years.
yeah. So I you do like to see that, and then also, let's just say they go after Russell Wilson. You only increase that the
Yeah,
odds even more. So
yeah,
just something interesting because I do. I'm like I remember that being a question. It was one of our
yeah,
trivia questions at one point about which team didn't have a black starting quarter or
yeah. I saw
something like
that pop
along those
up.
lines.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I saw that on Twitter. I'm like, hey, we talked about that on the show.
Yeah. So there you go, guys. Also, Mike, remember the Chat GPT next Super Bowl 50 team, next 50 Super Bowl winning
Yeah.
teams that I
Uh
talked
huh.
about last week, and we laughed
Yep.
because some of them were
Uh huh.
the made up teams on Madden.
He
Mike,
wasn't on there.
the Cleveland Browns.
Right.
Out of
Yep.
all those teams, Mike, they had the good teams from the NFL, the bad teams from the NFL. Mike, they had teams that aren't even real, winning the Super Bowl on this Chat GBT. Um,
Yep.
Next 50 Super Bowl winners, Mike, yes, and the Cleveland Browns, they never even won it at all. So again, teams that don't exist won it more times than the Browns. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. You gotta love it. Mike, why don't you go and tell everybody about the website?
The2dumbyinzers.com. Check it out. You know what's over there, especially if you've been here a while. But if you have never been here before, check it out at the2dumbyinzers.com. We got our social media links over there. We got our merch store over there. We got the blog over there, which is going to have a new mock draft updated sometime this week, where the dummy is feeding me some hot intel on who the Steelers should take a look at. So check it out at the2dumbyinzers.com.
All right. Raiders run an organization, question mark by Tortilla Jackson. We already got okay, we did get Corey putting down a C note for Jameis to win the Super Bowl. Quarter blacks and black ups are essential to the modern game. P, and then also Mark Malone says I think Russell only counts half though. Ugh. Guys, today's trivia question. I am going to jump back to the March Madness, to the tournament, Mike, for the question of the day, the trivia question, just because that's what's going on right now.
Yeah.
Everyone's investing their time and interest in the NCAA March Madness tournament. So that's Mike. The question of the day is going to be a March Madness question and NCAA basketball, of course, but it does have a local tie to it. So and you'll see that as we go through the question. So Mike, put on your thinking caps. Everybody on the board, everybody at home, get ready. This is the question of the day. Here we go. John Calipari, of course, from right here in Moon Township, right up the highway. John Calipari became the second coach ever to lead 4 different schools to the Sweet 16 this weekend. This weekend, by taking his team to the Sweet 16, Mike, he becomes the second coach in NCAA history to take 4 different teams that he head coached to the Sweet 16. Mike, how many can you name? How many can you name? There's 4 teams that he took to the Sweet 16. John Calipari, of course. It's happened 4 times. Only the second person to do it. How many of those teams can you name, Mike, that John Calipari took to the Sweet 16? Take a minute to think that over. We're live 5 days a week, right here, 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, every day, right here on YouTube. All right, Mike, I'm looking for the how many teams? I mean, even if it's 1, if it's none, whatever. But Mike, how many of the teams, or who are the teams that John Calipari led to the Sweet 16? He did it with 4 different teams. Mike, you want to take any stabs?
I'm going to go with Kentucky.
Correct.
Louisville.
Incorrect.
Damn.
That was Rick Pitino, I think you're thinking of.
Yeah, that was Patino.
P on the board. P on the board saying Memphis and Louisville. Richard is saying Kentucky and Arkansas. Mike, you did say. Who did you say?
I said Kentucky.
Yeah, Kentucky.
I forget who he took this year. I watched part of the game. Yeah, so I'm gonna go with just Kentucky.
Okay, Kentucky. You did get that correct.
Yeah,
and on the board, your help also did get you some correct answers. As a matter of fact, Mike. Yeah, Memphis. Pieces Memphis and Louisville. Memphis certainly is one of them. So Memphis, Kentucky. Richard went on to say Arkansas, which obviously is who he took this
Yep.
year.
Yep.
And then
That's the team I
Mike,
couldn't
think way
remember.
back when when I was in high school anyway. This team. Well, listen, it was Rick Pitino versus John Calipari in this
Yeah.
national championship. I'd call it 95-ish, 96-ish maybe.
Did he take Florida?
No. Think
Was it
Marcus
UConn?
Camby.
Oh,
You're getting closer. Northeast?
Villanova?
No. UMass.
UMass. Yeah.
So John Calipari became the second coach to lead 4 different schools to the Sweet 16. Yes, Mike, they are Arkansas this year, Kentucky, where he just left, Memphis, and UMass way back in the 90s is the answer, Mike. So good. Yeah, I mean, you nailed one of them. And again, I wasn't expecting you to get them. I got to be honest. You're the hockey guy. You're not the college basketball guy. And I didn't expect you to get them all, but good shot. Good try, everybody on the board as well. P said St. John's this year. So the great job. That is Calipari, Mike. And that's also where Adu Thero we was talking about. He is at Arkansas Arkansas as well. He moved with Calipari. So that was really cool as well. A couple locals from here. Yes, P. UMass is the final. It was, in fact, Arkansas, Kentucky, Memphis, and UMass. Oh, man. Nice. I've got a lot of things that we talked about today, Mike. And again, it's busy because here, the end of the week, the Pittsburgh Pirates opening day. It's Friday. Ooh. Penguins, I mean, I think they're fighting for a playoff spot. They're back at it.
Kind of. They're not out of it yet.
Right. They're back at it tomorrow down at Tampa Bay. Pittsburgh Pirates finishing up their preseason. They're back at it, of course, as I just said. On Friday, the Pittsburgh Riverhounds, they are opening up at home. That game is going to be against Birmingham. And again, the college basketball, Mike, all 4 number 1 teams still in it. The NCAA tournament picks back up on Thursday, goes all the way through Sunday. And at that point, Mike, we're going to be, gee whiz, what are we at the Sweet 16? We'll be at the Final Four after this coming weekend. So blink, I'm telling you, go ahead and blink. You're going to miss it all.
It takes forever to get here and then gone.
I do know that, Mike, your Duke takes on number 4 Arizona. I do know that Finch's Florida takes on number 4 Maryland. Derpy's Auburn takes on number 5 Michigan. And my Houston, I'll take on number 4 Purdue. So it's going to be good basketball games. Again, picking back up this Thursday, all through the weekend. Pieces Calipari, the architect of the one and done. He gets to the Sweet 16, then after that, it's done.
Kind of like who was the Pitt coach who always got them to like the Sweet 16?
Not Dennis Dixon, but it was
Jamie
Howland. Dixon. Ben Howland and then Jamie Dixon. It was right in that time for that switch over.
You could never get past that round.
Howland went out to UCLA. Jamie Dixon came in and filled the job to the T. He did the same exact thing. He just couldn't get past a certain point, Mike. But again, Mike, no perfect brackets left. Every bracket is busted as of right now. So it's tough. It's a tough thing to do. Get that damn bracket right. And then also the coach of Xavier that just got eliminated, Mike. Xavier, Sean Miller, the coach, a Pitt great point guard. And as a matter of fact, he's related to John Calipari. That's all the same basketball family right here in Western Pennsylvania. So a lot of good local connections. P said he wants them kids to get their bag. Respect, no two ways about that. Mike, my thing is this for today. I came across this over the weekend on the online. You remember when we were kids? Now everybody may not be able to relate to this, but you should, and other people may. I just don't know. Do you remember in elementary school when they handed out these sheets of paper that they just copied off, and they were still like wet from the ink, and they had that smell, and you would take and you would smell the paper?
Yeah.
If you would look at it in the machine, it's a purple ink. Now, I read into it a little bit. It's a purple ink, and it has a smell. Mike, apparently, that smell was actually done on purpose. That smell, when you took that wet paper every day, when your teacher handed out fresh paper that they had recorded, that smell was supposed to calm you down and make you want to learn. Like not, kids are crazy and their minds are going 100 miles an hour.
Yeah.
I swear,
Yeah.
I see. At first, I seen a video, then I looked it up a little bit, but I kid you not, it's a special purple ink, and like I said, I could remember the smell like yesterday. As
Oh, me
soon as I
too.
heard it, I went back to that spot. But they were saying that it was done on purpose. That smell to help kids calm down. They want
You
to
know
do
what?
their work.
We need that for Derpy.
We do need that for Derpy. What about you, man? Anything if we do get ready to wrap it up for today?
I got nothing.
All right, good.
I got nothing. Just great show, everyone. I had a blast. A month away from the draft. I can't wait. I cannot wait.
Absolutely, it's going to be great. A lot of fun stuff going on between now and then. We hope that you stay tuned. Again, we are going to be covering the draft heavy, getting ready to find out who the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to be bringing in. We have a lot of holes to fill, Mike. So again, just 1 month from today, the NFL draft, guys, super exciting. And then after that, you're already going into May because you figured the 24th through the 26th of April is the draft. Then you're at May. Kids get out of school. The camp starts up in July. So, Mike, it flies. It really does. We'll be at the regular season before you know, but nonetheless, we do have to get through the draft first. 1 month from today, everybody, the NFL draft. I do want to say also, I want to say thank you everybody for coming and hanging out and checking us out today. We certainly appreciate each and every one of you. We wouldn't do without you. Thank you so much. I also do want to say thank you to everybody on the board. You guys always keep things interesting right here on the show, and everybody at home or in the gym or at work or in the car or wherever you might be listening to the show. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Mike, the Penguins back at it tomorrow in Tampa. Pirates last preseason game today, 105. Here in about 20 minutes, they take on the Twins. Then it's time to get ready for the season opener this end of the week, Thursday. And then the Hounds back in action, Mike. That's Saturday. And NCAA tournament action that picks back up on Thursday through the weekend. But right here. And then also the UFL. Don't forget the UFL, guys. Kickoff 8 o'clock on Friday. St. Louis versus the Houston Roughnecks. So that's spring football, guys. But at the end of the day, we love our Steelers. We're going to be on top of that more than anything. We're going to keep our eye on what's going on with Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Donald, I wish. Aaron Rodgers, to see what goes on with him, what decisions are made by him, what decisions are made by the team, and all the other holes, guys, that we need to fill before the season does come around. So we will be on top of that, as always, digging, scraping, and trying to find the latest scoop to keep that out there for everybody. But, Mike, is there anything else, my man? Speak now, forever hold your peace.
I got nothing. See y'all tomorrow.
Absolutely. Everybody, thank you. Again, thank you, Tortilla, as well on the board. You too, my man. P, everybody on the board. Everybody, thank you so much. Again, Bucco's here in about 20 minutes. We'll be back tomorrow to talk about that and much, much more. Again, we're going to keep digging into the Aaron Rodgers saga, see what's going on and who's going to be our quarterback in this upcoming season right here on the Two Dumb Yinzers. Again, I hope everybody has a great day. Stay safe. Has a great Monday. We'll be back tomorrow first thing to do it all over again. We hope to see you then. For Mike in the Steeler Central Mobile Studio, myself, the Two Dumb Yinzers, and I think Derpy will be here tomorrow as well. And then we'll see about Finch. I'm not sure with what he has going on. But again, for Mike, myself, the Two Dumb Yinzers,